Thanks for coming to my show.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing fairly well, getting over the COVID thing. Not that I had it. I've never had it, actually. But just trying to, feel the speed back up into what we do. Art is a thing that's not necessarily necessary. I mean, you gotta be honest. It's a luxury to a lot of people. To us, it's an everyday thing, but to some people, it's a luxury that they spend extra money on. So during COVID, it kind of fell off, and I was a little concerned there for a minute, but it's starting to come back. So I'm doing better, but I need to be a lot better than that.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
clean up our act. Well, I really appreciate your passion for art, and you just have like a bold spirit. Where does that bold spirit come from?
There's a bunch of different things that I think I can attribute that to. When I was a kid growing up, I was a military brat, and we moved around a lot. And your identity changed, not by even your masterminding. You'd show up at a place and you were popular, or the girls liked you, or they didn't talk to you, or nobody talked to you, or you had to fight 3 guys every day after school just because you were picked, or fate would have it, out of your control. So only things that I could really control is when I was a child, my dad showed us some drawing. My dad used to be a really good artist when he was in high school.
Really?
Then he got drafted in the military, went to Vietnam. He wasn't in Vietnam, but he was in Thailand. But so that kind of kiboshed his ideas of becoming an artist. But he always showed us things, what did you learn in school? Or ABCs. He would turn the A into an A-frame house, or a B into a dinosaur, and some creative thinking just from the beginning. My dad always taught us to think in options and think of avenues and ways to do things that are yours, So for me, that coupled with my interest in really the ancient Egypt, like when they discover a sarcophagus or a tomb full of treasures. I was like, wouldn't it be something to leave something behind one day that was a treasure, that was treasure trove, or a body of work, that people remember. Years later, when I was already had my footing as an artist, but still kind of struggling, my dad said, "Hey, why didn't you go to law school or a business school or get, pursue higher education?" And he said, "You could be any of those things." And I said, "Well, because you know who Edgar Allan Poe is, right, Dad?" He goes, "Yeah, of course." I said, "He died penniless in a gutter, but we all know who he is. We all know what he left behind, and fantastic stories, and it was purely of his soul. This ether we have above us of ideas, and then all of a sudden you make them physical and proof to the world." So I wanted to kind of do something to leave behind, because I don't believe in an afterlife or resurrection, I think the time is now. The time is now while I'm alive to be inspired and to inspire others as well. So whether someone likes my art or not, I have this mission of just leaving a body of work behind. And I'm trying to split the difference between quantity and quality. I do want a high level of quality, but I don't want it to be so that I'm making 1 painting a year. I want to put as many out as I can with the highest quality that I can, splitting the difference. So sometimes I'll explore an idea, and a lot of my art, you'll see it's open. There's a corner that looks unfinished. And I leave that there to demystify it a bit, really to show the bare bones of how it started. Sometimes it irritates people, but I don't give a shit. I kind of want that to happen. I want people to demystify it a little bit, see the process underneath, kind of. So you'll always see a corner that's undone or unfinished or raw. This is starting to come into shape, but that's not. But I'm going to leave that there. So everything I do is non-scripted. I don't draw it out first. Even the big murals I do on buildings, they're all done freehand. Everything's done freehand, period. The things I carve, the things I paint, the things I draw, unless it's for a client, they need something specific, then I'll draw it out, composition or whatever. But I prefer just being set free, I just think of myself as a faucet. I can't help it. It's going to come out of me, period, So that's why the enthusiasm, I want everybody to know they can have that too, To me, art is a way of thinking, and I apply it to everything I do, not just a medium or a mastery of one thing or another. You know, it's a way of thinking, and I apply it across the board. You know, I try to discover something as much as I can, as much as I want to. You know, just sometimes I get more or deeper into it. Sometimes I don't ever exhaust it. Sometimes it's just like I'm into it for like a month or so. You know, but the things that stick with me stick for a long time, and I get better and better at them, I think.
That's nice. I really like your philosophy, and it seems evident in how you live your life.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's hell or high water. I'm racing the clock. I'm literally racing the clock of death to put as many things out there of a high bar of quality that I can. That's really what I'm here to do. And maybe one day some kid will open up a book and see my stuff in it and go, this is my favorite art. Look at this guy. He wasn't afraid to try anything. He did acting, he did filmmaking, he did painting, drawing, he carved sculptures, just whatever he wanted to do, he did. And that's something I can be proud of, you know? There's people who wonder about life and wonder if, I wonder what it would be like to do this. I don't even wonder. It crosses my mind like that, I'm doing it. I'm going to go try it, you know?
I share that. And that's a great approach. So you brought a painting today. Does it have a title or?
No, but there's some theme evolving to it. A lot of times when I start these things, I just start and I start making like a shape or I'll just do a wash, and it starts to evolve on its own. Now this was a found painting that someone gave to me. They found it in a garage sale or something, and they said, "Hey, I'm not going to do anything with this. Do you want it?" And I said, "Sure, but you don't mind if I paint it over, do you?" So sometimes I'll leave the undercarriage of what was there. But most of the time, it's something that's barely explored. If it's a really good painting, even if it's someone I don't know or whatever, and I found it, I won't allow that person to let me do that to it. I'll say, hey, why don't you keep it? And if they don't, I'll keep it and I won't touch it, you know. But this was something that was kind of, it just looked like someone was messing around. Mm-hmm. And there were some things that are provocational to me. Because I usually have like 20 or 30 of these laying around, going at a time. And like if you know, this one needs red. I have too much red on my palette. I'm going to use it on that one, or those four, you know? So I jump around, and it's really provocational painting. That's what I like to call it. Because I'll start making shapes, and I'll just blindly keep going until something sparks. And then it'll evolve into something. And that's how I do most of my work. Now, sometimes I'll do a portrait of someone, and I'll research their history, and I'll look at it. Like in my Burroughs painting, was pretty well explored, you know, and premeditated, where none of these generally they're not. I just let them happen, and then kind of a storyline happens or whatever. And this one, look, it was inadvertently, it was a Darth Vader head in it. So just 2 weeks ago, I started putting in this TIE fighter, but I was just sketching it in paint because I don't want to sit there and draw it. I'd rather just keep going and paint, because you can paint over the part that you don't think looked right. And it adds texture or depth or something to it anyway, right? So I just keep painting on it. You know, it kind of blows my mind when I'll see a younger person or someone who's a master at charcoal or ink or colored pencil or even watercolor, and they're like, I'm afraid to try oil painting, or I'm afraid to try acrylic paint or painting. And I go, it's easier, because in an ink drawing, you can't pull the ink back out. You have to use white wash, and people can tell that you added white to it, right? Is there a mistake there? But in a painting, you can just keep painting. You can paint over one section, the whole thing, part of it, you know, until you feel like you got it right. But to me, there's no right, there's just do. I just do it until it looks good, and I'm ready to be done with it, you know? So it's exploratory, but to a certain degree. Once I've explored that idea, I don't need to go into minutia, you know, one painting a year. I'd rather do 40, you know. So.
Well, I like what you're saying. I share everything you're talking about. I mean, I feel like we're brothers in that way. It just seems like I don't have time to
yeah,
deliberate too much. You want to make work and be your idea.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. It's funny you say brother, like, because I think of all artists as we're like Vietnam vets in a certain way. Like, I may have been in Da Nang, you're in Saigon, doesn't matter. We're instantly brothers, you know, brotherhood. You know, the title of an artist, a working artist. It's such a difficult thing to get to where you make a living at it. It's not for the faint of heart. You know, you have to really commit to it. I used to tell people, speak at a university or something, and I tell, you got to act like your right arm's going to get chopped off if you don't succeed. You really have to go, this is it. I'm putting everything in here and I'm doing it, You just can't go half-ass in, I believe everybody has a potential to be an artist or to make art, but I don't think everybody has that title of an artist, You have to be able to differentiate that, I really believe that. I really believe that. So if I was going to address you, or if I was writing something about you, I'd use a capital A, the artist, Alan Fulle, But I think people mistake me for saying in an elitist way. I'm not saying not everybody can be an artist. I think everybody can be an artist. Right. Everybody can make art.
Sure.
But are you an artist?
No, I understand that distinction.
If you and I went camping and you fell and you cut your knee and I stitched you up, I don't come back to town and tell everybody I'm a doctor.
Right.
Right? Even though I stitched your knee up, I'm not a doctor. I don't walk around with a plunger on the corner and go, hey, I'm a plumber. Right?
Right.
Art is the only profession that the term gets abused over and over.
Right.
Hey, I have a friend that's a great plumber, but he's not really a plumber, he's more of an artist. You ever hear anybody say, hey, I have a friend who's a great artist, but he's not really an artist, he's more like a doctor. Nobody ever says that with any other thing, right?
Yep.
It's so displaced. And I don't know, I think it's been made into almost like a joke. I have to try to rescue the provenance of what we do sometimes. And people get mad, but I'm just trying to tell them. I'm saying, not that you can't do art. I'm just saying.
Right.
When someone says, hey, can I sit down with you and draw? I'm an artist too. Okay, and they take one of my expensive pens and they're mashing the tip in, and they're making a Brillo pad, and they say, you like my kitty cat? I'm like, yeah. I mean, is that an artist, or are they making art? They're making art, but it's not to my taste maybe, but I don't know if they have the title of being an artist, Just like a doctor or a plumber, there's no what qualifications, I guess. So it muddies the water, and people muddy it even further, and I don't like that. I like to protect what we do, So I don't know. People get upset about that, but I have to defend it, It takes a lot of balls to go into this world and make a living at it, and it's not fun games, It's survival. So, I don't know. I see it as my religion, my spirituality, purely is that. It's the only thing that's non-dogma of someone else. It's not some other person's teaching or religion. It's purely from my head alone. And I make a living off it. I derive my philosophies from it. The importance of it in the world, I think, is much more than pretty pictures. I think it's a world of critical thinkers, problem solvers, innovators, open-minded people. I don't know very many professional artists that are racist or sexist or homophobic or more open-minded people. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but that's a responsibility that we have, as we're kind of like wizards and witch doctors in the modern era, walking around with magic abilities. I think of it like that.
I love that.
We're different, cut different from the other cloth.
Yeah.
Take raw materials and make treasure out of them. Who does that? Who dares to do that for a living, right?
Right.
It's phenomenal. I'm lucky, and I work my ass off at it. So.
Well, it really shows, and I appreciate that discipline, that philosophy. I share that art is my religion, and I think we're adherents to a temple of discovery.
Yeah.
And to be truly open to the process, you just have to be aware of that need to create and express.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, wars, World War I, King Ferdinand was killed by a Dadaist, right? Hitler was an artist, I'm just saying, in the past, artists were held in a high reverence in a certain way. I'm not saying Hitler was held in high reverence. I mean, he guy's an asshole and deserved to, to be extinguished. But here's the thing: a lot of world events were, inspired through an artist or done by an artist or a failed artist, or it's a world of intellectualism. I think it's one of the last bastions of intellectualism. I'm not sure where technology is in intellectualism. It's more like a removed thing, like an outside thing, that's helping man. But I don't know if you would call that intellectualism, because that's more of a thinking, a thinker's head, a person, a being, So I think art is still in that world of intellectualism, And when the surrealists were talking with Jung and Freud about, dream analysis and the subconscious. I mean, subconscious is huge in what I do, I let things come out, and then there's a story that comes out of almost like a dream happening, So I just think it's a high world still, art, being a creative person, seeing possibilities and making them happen,
I really like how you're not intimidated by scale. You'll do something really small and intimate, and then you'll do a public art wall piece,
Yeah.
and then you'll do a canvas piece. I mean, you're just like full speed ahead.
Oh yeah, I can't stop. I literally cannot stop. I have a hard time sleeping, so I'm up late at night, usually working until I'll pass out. I mean, this is the truth for years. I don't go to bed. I pass out. You know what I mean? There's just not enough time in the world for me. I'm the guy that's burning. If you take a candle and you burn it at both ends, and then you burn it in the middle, then you have two candles burning at both ends. That's me. I'm walking around with two candles burning at both ends. It is what it is, And I make use of my time. So people say to me, how are you getting all this stuff out? You're like putting stuff out all the time. I'm like, you have no idea what's going on even at home. It's stacked up, And I just can't get to everything at the same time. But scale to me, when you're talking about scale, when I get on a large wall on a building or something, there's nothing more exciting to me than that. Oh my God. Here's this wall that's blank that I can do what I want on. And to me, it's just bigger tools, and it's much more dramatic. I'll finish a painting on the side of a building sometimes faster than something like this, because I'm using a roller or a 4-inch purdy brush with just two brushes at once, sideways, and then, like this for a liner. It holds a lot of paint. So I just will get on the wall and start. And I just love the possibility that I have this big thing here that's going to influence a community. And sometimes people walk up and they're like, "Hey man, you want to join? This is awesome that you're beautifying our neighborhood." Or a grandfather will walk by with his granddaughter, and I'll be like, "Come over here. This part over here needs red, but I'm too tall to reach it. Can you help me with this?" And that little girl, maybe when she turns, 18 or 19 or however old she gets, she'll be able to walk by that thing and say, "Hey, I met that artist that did this, and he let me paint right here. I did part of this." That to me is like priceless. You might leave an impression on somebody's head like that. Or the honor that a neighborhood would allow you to paint something in that neighborhood, or a building owner. To me, it's a huge responsibility, and also an honor, because I'm going to become the fabric of that community for a while at least, And hopefully for a long time, Sometimes they get painted over. It's okay. I'll make more. I'm like a factory,
So do you have I know there was a discussion, someone was asking you about your style or whatever, and I said creative art, just like so have you thought about that since that discussion? Are you?
Well, I do jump around in style a lot, and a lot of it is just for discovery. I don't want to be like a one-trick pony, or I don't want to be like known for one thing or another. I want to keep surprising myself, number one, and that in turn surprises other people, I think. When I was doing carvings during COVID, I got really into high gear with carving things, sculptures and stuff out of wood, and people would see it and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing! You just started doing this." But realistically, I was whittling since I was like 7, 8 on camping trips. Always had something with me in carving.
Sure.
Always had pocket knives. So I was always carving. It's just the ideas got better. The ideas got bigger. And I just, went on a streak, And So I jump around in style and medium. Sometimes people don't know it's what I've done, you know. There was a mural I did for this business in Belltown, and on the 9th day, these guys tagged it from head to toe. And my mistake was I didn't sign it. Now, a lot of those guys, the graffiti crew, the younger guys, they call me coach or dad. Have you ever done scratchboard? No, but go talk to Dad. He'll tell you how to do it. So these guys, I knew who they were that tagged over my mural. So I called one of them up. And generally, if you tag a mural, it's your ass. I can show up at your house, knock on the door, and kick your ass in the front yard. That's a street rule. You're not supposed to touch murals. But there are certain rules there about, like, if this is a wall that's been being tagged, you can't just go over there and whitewash it and start painting a mural. There's ways to let them know you're coming. Like you whitewash out some of their names or whitewash some of it and leave it. And they'll hit it again. And you do it again. And they hit it. And then you do it again. After the third time, they usually would go, all right, fuck it, it's done. They're going to do something here. And then you paint. Well, I didn't do that. I just went and started painting this wall. And so I tracked down one of the guys and called him up and said, hey, man, were you mad at me? Like, you went over my mural? He said, what mural? I would never go over one of your murals. And I said, well, it was at this location. He goes, oh, dude, that wasn't you. I wouldn't tag you because I was doing a new style. I was trying a new style out there. And I was really, really happy about it. But these guys came along, and it was a couple guys from out of town, and my friend, they hit it hard. They buried it. He was like, dude, what are you going to do, you know? I was like, nothing, man. I know your game. It's okay. It's all right. Everybody else is like, kick their ass. We should find it. We should track them down. I'm like, no, I already know who it is. And you're not going to do anything? I'm like, no. They have their world, and I have mine. We just kind of intersect sometimes. And the truth is, that was their wall, you know. And he still apologizes today. He says, I'm really sorry. He's one of the more well-known of those guys. But he's like, I'm sorry, man. But I was like, don't worry about it, dude. It's okay. It's just paint. It's just paint.
Did you go back over it and fix it, or
no?
No,
I didn't. But
let it be.
I'm really good at taking photos all the way along.
Nice.
Like I have documentation of everything. Sometimes I have a time-lapse camera going. Most of the time I do. But it's okay. Sometimes things are meant to be. Sometimes they're not. And I'm not going to ever have a problem with it. You know, I really don't. Even though it's gone and didn't last that long, I had a great time doing it. I learned a lot doing it. And I learned a little bit more in the minutia of their world. And they learned a lot more about mine. But I guarantee you that guy is telling people, don't ever touch a Rick Klu mural. That guy's, he's just too cool, like friendly enough. That's another thing, you know, people getting these heated things when they could just be like, hey, I'm going to be like Gandhi about it. Let it go. It's not a big deal. And you garner so much more respect out of that. Those guys now look out for my stuff even more because I didn't care that they went over my mural. I said, well, it's not a big deal. You know, they're dumbfounded over it because they're used to going to war with people on that.
Right.
And then you have a guy saying, no, it's no problem, man. But you should have filled in your letters a little better. I like fucking with them like that, but otherwise, it doesn't bother me really at all. I'm usually doing something else already, you know. I'm on to the next already. So, anyway.
So if there was something you could express that you just haven't been able to express before, what would that be?
You know what? I express this on a level to people that I want the people to really deeply understand that nobody's art is ever going to be better than another person's art, period. I don't care if it's a 4-year-old boy versus Salvador Dali. This is simply a matter of taste. So if someone thinks that Salvador Dali is a better artist than the 4-year-old boy, so be it. They're fine. They're right for themselves only. This is a thing that can never be proved. And I challenge you by saying, ask the grandmother of the 4-year-old boy whose art is better. What kind of answer do you think you might get? It might be Salvador Dali, but most likely it's my grandson. So if you and I walked into a room and said, you know what, I'm going to tell everybody the best fruit in the world is kiwi, period. But you like cantaloupe, and she likes strawberries, and he likes mangoes, and they like papaya, and she likes grapes. Who's right? Everybody's right. and everybody's wrong. Everybody's right for themselves, number one, but their truth can never be mine. So nobody's art can ever be better than anybody else's art, period. And once you understand that, if there's no competition to it, you can celebrate someone else's art. You can even freely not like it. And the artist should never, ever waver, should never be offended. I've had people come up to me, and I don't know why, but some people have the inkling, they want to push your buttons, but I've had people walk up and say, I really don't like your art, I only came because my girlfriend likes it. And I go, awesome, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. See those 3 guys over there looking at the art? Those have been my friends for 20 years. None of them have bought a piece of art. There's a $200 piece right over there. They've never bought one. They tell me they like it. Do they? I don't know. You tell me you don't like it, you are being honest. I believe you. I trust that's what you're saying from the heart. And I still don't give a fuck. I mean, not in a mean way. I mean, what am I supposed to do about that? I'm not going to do anything about it. You don't know my history. You don't know where in my body of work this piece lies or this series lies. And it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm glad you're participating by making a choice out of it. Like Marcel Duchamp used to always say, it's the artist creates something, and it's up to the viewer to make a choice about what they think of it. That's their role. I'm not going to rob someone of that, and I'm not going to ever get offended. So I never am. I know I can go have a beer with that guy, and we can talk politics. He's not going to bullshit me. He's going to be a straight shooter, because he gets to say to my face, I don't like your art. He probably knew what, or guessed what someone's implications would mean. They'd get upset and go, fuck you, let's see you do it. I'm not ever challenged by that at all. It doesn't matter to me, I'm going to go home and do exactly what I'm doing at the level I'm doing at that time in life. It doesn't bother me, and I don't think any artist should ever be bothered by that. And it's just a freedom. If you're going to be an artist, be free about it and allow people their opinions. Not even allow, it's part and parcel to what you're doing. So don't ever be stifled by someone saying they like it or don't like it, or that they think it's amazing. Don't let that go to your head either, because you're on a path of discovery and you're going to keep going. So that moment in time is just a moment in time. You're going to push past that too, You remember when you were younger and you were just starting out and you got really excited, you did a piece that you really liked, and you look back now and you're like, man, that thing was fucking just cranked out. It was nothing, compared to what you do now. So just remember, there's a path and there's a road. Just keep going down it. It's going to be filled with discovery and new things, hopefully. And you can't let the detractors get at you. So I don't listen to critics ever. I just hold no water with them, It's one person putting their opinion out about fruit. I like this strawberry because it's blah, 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 blah. What's it do? Doesn't do anything to me. Never will.
I like how you have your own internal clock and barometer. You don't let the weather affect what you think.
No.
And that's really great. So is there stuff that you want to attack next, and what's you've done a number of things, what's next on the artistic journey?
For me, it's just scale now. At this point, I want to carve a full-size Porsche 911, out of wood, full size to scale where it looks exact, and go and install it in a parking lot at a park. It's the only car there after dark, this wood grain thing. People pull in the parking lot and they see it and they go, what kind of idiot would paint their car wood grain? Especially a Porsche. What an idiot. And they walk closer and they go, they painted the tires wood grain too? And they get up closer and they go, oh my God, it's not a car. This is a carving. What? I'd like to do that. Or a couch a chili dog the size of a couch. That'd be kind of cool, out of a log. And I've had one of my patrons said, why don't you just do it in resin or something? Wouldn't it be easier? It would be easier. I want to do it the insanely hard way, mostly by hand. And I think that would be some kind of a treasure, something to leave behind, I think it would be talked about or something, But that's I kind of want to scale up my carvings, scale up the paintings. I already do scale up the paintings, but it'd be cool to do some kind of public works that's a subway station or something that's going to be there for a long time. And exterior walls are one thing, but if you get into like a subway system or like a interior of a renowned building or something, or a waterfront park or something like that, it'd be kind of phenomenal. So that's the next step, is to try to go bigger, not regionally, but more like nationally or something, internationally, you know. And that's what I need to focus on, that.
Very cool.
So
Well, Rick, I really appreciate you sharing your dimension and your direction and your passion
thanks.
with me and my viewers today. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, hopefully it just inspires somebody. That's really what I'm here on earth for, to inspire and to leave inspiration behind. So,
Well, you inspired me today to, it's really nice to hear your words.
it means a lot to me, really. So thank you.